John 21 verses 6 to 10 in the English Standard Version, ESV, reads. 6 He said to them, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in, because of the quantity of fish. 7 That disciple whom Jesus loved therefore said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. 8 The other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, but about 100 yards off. 9 When they got out on land, they saw a charcoal fire in place, with fish laid out on it, and bread. 10 Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." Expounding on these verses. The context of this passage is a post-resurrection appearance of Jesus to his disciples. The disciples had gone fishing on the Sea of Tiberias, also known as the Sea of Galilee, but had caught nothing all night. This reflects the often fruitless toils we face in our daily endeavors without the presence or direction of Christ. In verse 6, when Jesus instructs them to cast the net on the right side of the boat, it is significant that the disciples follow his command without recognizing him. Their obedience to the voice of a stranger, which turns out to be Jesus, leads to an abundant catch. This act symbolizes the blessing of obedient faith and also serves to remind the disciples of their initial calling when Jesus had told them that they would be fishers of men, Matthew 4 verse 19. The recognition of Jesus by the disciple whom Jesus loved, traditionally understood to be John, shows a spiritual insight or closeness that allows him to perceive the Lord's presence. It also shows that spiritual recognition often precedes physical or empirical recognition. Peter's reaction in verse 7 is impulsive and passionate, which is characteristic of his personality throughout the Gospels. His action to cover himself may indicate respect or readiness to meet Jesus, while his jumping into the sea may symbolize both his eagerness to be with the Lord and perhaps a form of baptismal symbolism, a leaving behind of his old life. The other disciples, in verse 8, follow in the boat, bringing with them the net full of fish. This detail emphasizes the communal nature of the disciples' mission and the abundance that follows from Christ's instructions. Upon reaching the shore in verses 9 and 10, the disciples see a fire with fish and bread already prepared by Jesus. This has echoes of the Eucharist, communion, and also reflects Jesus' role as provider and host even after his resurrection. When Jesus asks for some of the fish they have caught, it illustrates a partnership between the divine and human effort. Jesus has provided, yet he includes the disciples' catch in the breakfast. This passage is rich in symbolism and practical teaching. It underlines themes of recognition, obedience, provision, and the partnership in the mission between Jesus and his followers. It also points toward a deeper spiritual nourishment and fellowship that Jesus offers, a reminder that our spiritual work is not in vain and that Christ calls us to a participation that recognizes his sovereignty and our diligent effort.